It's Flux. I wanted to do a real quick video to show you how to use something small like a monotron to make your own samples. Just sample it up and put it in tune and go ahead and create an instrument. So what I've done is I've got the monotron and it's running through the input on pad bank D right now. And after the input, I have Guitar Rig 5 with just a tuner open so that I can see what tune my sample is going to be. And you can see that I'm pretty close to C. These things don't have super stable oscillators, so getting the tuning can be a little bit of a pain sometimes. But I'm going to go ahead and sample this real quick. Okay, so I've gone ahead and sampled it. Now I'm going into the edit screen. Let me close this. And here I'm going to go ahead and normalize it real quick. Alright, and we'll hear the sample. Okay, now I'm just going to edit it up a little bit. First thing I'm going to do is, let me actually make this a little bit bigger. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in at the start. And I'm going to take the start point. Start point is going to go right at the zero crossing. Zero crossing is right here. And you'll see this is 0. So we want the start of your sample right there. The end of the sample is also going to come to right there, to the 0 point. And the reason you do that is so that when it loops, you don't want to hear a big click sound. I'm going to go ahead and truncate this real quick. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start chopping it down. And I'm going to loop it. I actually can leave this as long as I want, really. This right here is what we want to loop. I'm going to take this right about here. I'm going to zoom in. Take it right about there and we'll see how it sounds. First thing I want to do is I want to make sure that I'm going to take my polyphony to 1 just to make it easy so I can hear what's going on. And we're on ADSR, so that way we know that it's going to be able to loop. And my release I'm going to set to 50. Now back in the sampling screen. So that sounds good. It's looping just fine. So what I'll do now is I'm going to go into, you know what I'll do? I'll actually go ahead and I'm going to copy this. I'm just duplicating the sound because I'm going to get a little bit deeper into what I'm doing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to record a different sample, and I'm going to layer the different sounds on top of each other. And instead of having just one oscillator of the monotron, I'm going to turn this into a 2 or possibly 3 oscillator synthesizer sound. I'm not going to do multi-sampling where I put different samples on each key in this video. One, because, like I said, the tuning on this isn't that great, and that would be a much longer video to get everything properly in tune. But also because it's not really going to be needed, because this is going to be just a bass sound that I'm going to be playing lower in the octave, and it's going to be played monophonically, and just don't really need to do a whole heck of a lot of multi-sampling to get a good sound like that. So let's go back here and pull this up. And I'm going going to turn this back to an input. And I'm going to change how this sounds a bit. Actually, we'll do this as the sub. Pretty close. And again, I'm going to go ahead and normalize it. You're hearing a little bit of digital distortion and whatnot. That's because I'm literally actually out on the road right now, on lunch break. So let's go ahead and loop this, and again, bring the release up to around 50. That gives you that nice little trail off. Okay, and let's take that. Let's take this out here. It's over here. Zoom in on it. Bring this to our zero crossing. And we're going to bring the start point to its zero crossing as well. It's actually pretty close, but we're going to move it over to this guy here. Actually, we're going to move it to this one right here. And you can do all this from the controller, or you can do it from the software. I'm doing it from the software just so that you can see kind of what I'm doing a little bit easier. Sounds good. Now what I can do is I'm going to take this, I'm going to name it. Let's go ahead and we'll save the sample. I like saving the raw waveforms like this so that I can go back and I can pull them up later and just kind of do stuff without having to resample a whole bunch of stuff. Okay, so what I can do now is I can go into the mapping mode in the sampler here, and you'll see that here's your root note, and it's stretched all the way across the keys. Okay, if I want to add another sample, I can, and I can do this like so. Pull up my browser here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into samples. Okay. Monotron. And here's the monotrons. Okay, and there it is. So I've just thrown it onto the keys on top of the other one. I'm stretching it now to go all the way across the keys, same as the other one. I'll bring the gain down a bit, and I'm going to hit the pad. Now I can go ahead and do some different things, like you can change the tuning You can detune one sample from the other. I'm actually going to do this from the controller. I find it to be a little bit more intuitive. So now, when I press the previous and next buttons on the controller while in map mode, it's going to bring me between the two different samples that I have so I can listen to the changes. Right now, I'm going to adjust the volume of the one that's not the sub. And I'm actually going to pan that one off to the right just a hair. And I'm going to pan the sub one off to the left just a little bit, just to widen it up a bit. Now, if you want to detune them, you can do that too. And actually what I'm going to do now is I'm going to grab, I'll just grab another one of the samples that I did on the monotron. So let's see what we have here. Let me turn this down a little bit. And we can take the low note all the way down, high note all the way up. And I'm going to take the gain of that one down. And let me go ahead and check that sample out real quick. I'm going to loop it as well. We'll bring up a little bit of crossfade. Sounds good enough to me. So back to the mapping. So we have that going for us. And then we can go ahead and do things like add modulation. Like basically we now have a 3 oscillator sound. I'm just going to change the name of this real quick to monotron truck. Okay, so and at least according to this, it's pretty darn close to a solid C, which means it'll be easy to play it across the keyboard. Like I say, keep in mind these are kind of drifting oscillators. They're analog, and it's just a little toy synthesizer. So what we can do now is we can add effects. We can resample it and make all those oscillators just one sound. You can do lots of different things. What I'm going to do first is I'm going to go over to modulation, okay? And you see you've got your modulation envelopes. We're going to go ahead and go to actually LFO destination. And I'm going to turn the sync on. My speed is going to be at 1/8. And let's go ahead and we'll send it to cutoff. And go back to FX and filter. We'll turn the filter on. Okay, so now you've got that wobbly sound, and you can speed that up and slow it down pretty easily just by going into your modulation, the LFO, and change the speed of it. So from the controller now, I'm just going to mess with the speed of it. You see, so now you've got that, that wobble bass sound. You can do whatever you want with that and get really stereotypical. So what I'll do now is I'm going to go ahead and just add another effect on here. I'm just going to put metaverb on here, bring the mix way down, size down just a little bit, and I'm going to play with it and see how it sounds. Alright. I can actually remove guitar rig now because I really just don't need it. So before metaverb, I'm going to add a different effect on here. I don't even know what yet. Just gonna I'll throw some FM on there. Why not? And then just a little bit of delay. We'll do a we'll actually use these delays. So there you have it, and basically you've got a sound now. You can just right click on the sound and save as. I've got monotron truck, and it's going into my saves. I'm going to go ahead and hit save, and I can go into sounds now, and monotron. You're going to see monotron truck. I'm going to tag it and just do made by Flux. Why not? Analog. And Flux instruments. Apply. And now it's tagged up. It's inside of my browser and everything, and I can pull it up whenever I want to use it, or if I want to mess with it further. Remember, you can always resample it and do things from there. Works out pretty nice.